If you're searching for a home in South Katy and want the shortest possible commute on I-10, want to live in a beautiful neighborhood, and be zoned to some of the best schools in Katy ISD, Green Trails might be the right place for you. It occupies some of the most prime real estate in Katy ISD, south of I-10 between Barker Cypress and South Fry. In this video here today, we're going to cover some of the most important things you need to know about the neighborhood, along with a couple of pros and cons, so you can determine if Green Trails is right for you. Hi, I'm Carolyn Bauerschlag, a local resident and realtor right here in Katy, Texas, and I've helped hundreds of people relocate from all over the country right to our great city. If you're considering a move to the area, I would love to add you to our client family. Construction started in Green Trails in the late 1980s and early 90s and completed right before the year 2000. Now, it's crazy to me to think that some of the newest parts of Green Trails are 25 years old. I literally remember when these were being built back in the early 90s. Makes me feel super old. But what I love about this neighborhood is that it really has stood the test of time. Now, Green Trails was built at a time when the master plan community idea was really starting to take a hold across the state of Texas, and especially here in Houston. So what you'll see is that a lot of thought was really put in by these developers into retaining a lot of the green spaces, to planting a ton of trees, to making sure that there are walking trails. I mean, it's how it's got its name, right? Green Trails. And really feels like you're in a very secluded spot, even though you are right on top of some of the busiest areas of Houston, Texas. Now, one of the things that I think stands out the most about this community, if you're considering older homes, is that the distance between the homes is actually still pretty respectable, right? And this is feedback that I get from buyers whenever they start their home search. They'll say, gosh, it just really feels like these homes are all so close together. Well, back in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, people were building homes with a little more space between you and your neighbor. The homes are set a little bit further back from the street, and the roads aren't super narrow, right? So like when you're driving through the residential streets of Green Trails, you can have two cars pass each other, and in some cases, you can still have a car parked on either side. Whereas in newer parts of Katy, that's an absolute impossibility. So I think what that lends itself to is it gives everyone a little bit more breathing room. It gives the trees more room to grow together and create that really beautiful shaded, insulated canopy that makes it feel like that you are not in the fourth largest city of the United States. Now, getting your foot in the door is not inexpensive, but it's not out of reach either. Prices range in 2026 anywhere from about $425,000 up to about $1.2 million. And the average house is costing right now about $618,000. And what that buys you is going to be about 3,200 square feet on a respectable 9,500 square foot lot. And that's a 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 2-car home. Now, I'm not here to say that $618,000 is inexpensive. It absolutely isn't. A fun fact about this little area is that 77094 actually happens to be one of the highest per capita income areas of South Katy, right? So there's neighborhoods that are on $1 million estates that are in and around this exact area. So it's less expensive relative to that, but it still is going to be a higher price to get your foot in the door. So the natural question is, what's driving that price? And I would say it's majorly two things. The first is going to be location, which is kind of hackneyed to say, like everyone talks about location in real estate. But if you are commuting and you have a job that is anywhere in the energy corridor, so this is going to be Eldridge, Kirkwood, Derry Ashford, Memorial, in and around that area, Green Trails offers you kind of your eastmost spot in Katy ISD with exceptional public schools and the shortest possible commute to the energy corridor. So we see lots of oil-related jobs end up in Green Trails because it really offers you a very high quality of life, right? So Shell, BP, ConocoPhillips, Phillips 66, Citgo, all of that is right there in the energy corridor. Another thing that I would say is driving the value in Green Trails is, of course, going to be the schools. And I know we talk about this all the time, but I work with folks that are coming just from down the road a few exits over, right? They're leaving the Spring Branch ISD area, let's say, because they're not getting the school district that they're looking for. And they say, hey, what's it to me to move 7 to 10 exits west over into the Green Trails area and to get Katy ISD schools that are, paid by my tax dollars, right? Like that's not a bad option. And what you're dealing in Green Trails is a zoning pattern that's split in two. Now, the whole neighborhood is zoned to Taylor High School, A-rated, according to niche.com and to the Texas Education Association. And you're also getting two different feeder patterns for the junior high and elementary schools. So the first is going to be Pattison Elementary and McMeans Junior High. Half of Green Trails is zoned that way. And the other half is going to be Nottingham Country Elementary School and Memorial Parkway Junior High. Now, all of those schools, all four of them, are rated A by niche.com, which is kind of like the court of public opinion, and by the Texas Education Agency, which is the governing body that regulates all of these public schools, right? So everyone says we love all of the schools that these neighborhoods are zoned to. Now, historically, what we have seen is that there tends to be a minor difference in value between homes that are zoned to Pattison McMeans and homes that are zoned to Nottingham Country Memorial Parkway. The Pattison McMeans zoning pattern tends to command a bit of a premium, and this can sometimes be 3 or 4 percentage points, and in some cases it can be, 6 or 7 percentage points over the other zoning pattern. But really, I want to reiterate that all of them are A-rated schools. It's always interesting to me, too, during a buyer consultation. People will tell me what the top high schools are in Katy ISD, but Taylor is also a top high school. It's just, it's getting more of a UIL, like rounded experience reputation than only being academically focused. But the academic rigor here is high. You're going to have tons of AP classes. You're going to have lots of dual credit. You're going to have the ability to do vocational certifications if you want to. All of it is there at Taylor. The tennis teams, the swim team, football, drill team, all of that is highly rated and acclaimed, as are the fine arts. So if you're searching in Katy and you are unsure about this neighborhood, please don't rule it out. It is actually a favorite amongst locals. So speaking of being a favorite, it's important for you to know, if you are considering this neighborhood, that everyone likes it who's here. Right. So once you drive through it, you're going to say, wow, I really like this. And so does everybody else. And so these homes will sell in multiple offers and quickly. So if someone says, I want to live in Green Trails, my immediate thought is we need to do a consultation immediately. We need to set you up on a search where you're going to get emailed the second these things go on the market, and we're going to show it right away. More times than not, these homes do not survive the weekend once they go on the market. So if they list on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, my expectation is that it's going to be gone very quickly. So people that do their job well in this neighborhood understand that the structural and mechanical components are very important to talk about. So as these homes are 25 and 30 years old, that's just old enough for us to start seeing structural issues like slab health or roofs that are deteriorating or whatever the case may be. So a well-priced, well-cared for, well-positioned home in Green Trails, multiple offers, couple of days on market. So if this is a neighborhood as a consideration for you, be prepared, and yours truly can help you get that done. So I mentioned to you that I had a couple of pros and cons, so let's start with the pros. The first and most obvious one to me is that the homes themselves have really stood the test of time. Many times when you hear older home, what people think of are homes with weird floor plans or things that are in deteriorated condition. And instead, what you're getting in Green Trails is a home that is built almost to modern tastes. So if you kind of think back to like residential real estate, like history, I would say sometime in the early 90s is when we started to see the open concept floor plan. But they're not so open concept that people don't like them, right? So when you go through a Green Trails home, you're very frequently going to see a formal dining on one side, either a formal living or a study on the other. You're going to have a living room with a kitchen that's open to it. You're going to have a breakfast area at the back, and you're going to have the primary bedroom on the first floor. Upstairs, you're going to have your game rooms. You're going to have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, or whatever the case may be, right? But it's very much a floor plan that I would say most people come to me and say that they want. So even though these homes were built in the 90s, I would say that they don't show their age. What I also love about this neighborhood is that the people that live over here tend to really care about it. So it's not just the floor plan itself, but it is the structural, mechanical components of the home that have not been laid to waste. You're going to very frequently see windows that have been replaced, so they're double pane. You're going to see homes that they're not all going to have brand new roofs and new ACs, but like the interiors are probably going to have been refreshed. The roof and the AC are probably not going to be functionally dead. There really is a lot of pride of ownership in the neighborhood. Now, the second major pro is one that I touched on briefly, but I do want to reiterate. It's going to be location. A kind of oddity of the neighborhood is that it has a Houston name and zip code, even though it is in Katy ISD. And I bring this up because there are some people that I would say are moving from kind of the inner loop or inside the Beltway, and they are just like hanging on to that last little like shred of independence. They say, I'm not moving to Katy. So if you live in Green Trails, you technically still live in Houston. It's 77094. And what that really does get you, I think, is truly a much shorter commute, not just going to work, but getting anywhere, right? So like if you want to go to the zoo, if you want to go downtown for an Astros game, if you want to get to, a hot restaurant for drinks with friends or anything, it really is much shorter than having to tag over into kind of the deeper parts of suburbia in Katy. Funny story though, like I did have a client that lived in Green Trails and they were dead set and determined to not leave Green Trails. They did ultimately give up their Houston zip code status and they did move over into Cinco Ranch to the dark depths of Katy, Texas. But they really did love Green Trails specifically for how close it was to Houston proper. Now for the cons. I mentioned to you a moment ago that there's high pride in ownership throughout the neighborhood, and that is absolutely true. And in any neighborhood, you're going to have the opportunity for folks to maybe not care for their homes the right way. So I would say if you see a home that's been on the market in Green Trails for anything longer than a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, I would say this is potentially a home that's either just overpriced or it is a home that has been not cared for the way that it should have been, right? So 25 to 30 years is just long enough for things to start to go sideways if someone was living in it and didn't care for the property appropriately. So most of these homes are built with very solid foundations with that post-tension cable system, which if that's too nerdy for you, basically just know that that's supposed to be a more flexible slab here on our clay soil in Houston and not something that's going to crack like a graham cracker from like the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. You're going to get better plumbing. You're going to get better fixtures. You're going to get better construction with these homes, but not everyone takes care of them the way that they should. So if you are shopping this area and you're with me, what I always do is try to educate you on the structural mechanicals and how we can tell whether or not someone has taken care of that home. Another thing with age too is that not everyone would, let's say, improve a home with the same taste level. So as these homes change hands, Houston is a transient place. I just mentioned to you, its energy corridor is like its core population. Those jobs are reload in and out kind of a lot, right? So we see a decent amount of turnover in any house in Houston. But as those homes turn over, like not everyone renovates like comprehensively. So a lot of times you'll show these homes and you can tell like, oh, here's when someone renovated the countertops. Oh, here's when someone replaced the floor in just the bedrooms. Oh, and here's where someone replaced the tile in the kitchen, but not in the foyer, right? And so you can kind of get like this patchwork effect in some of the homes when you're walking through them. But I would say if you want to take on the project in Green Trails for a home that's been sitting there for a minute, you absolutely will have your money returned back to you. It's a perennial favorite. People love it. Now, the second con in Green Trails to me is a little bit sneaky. I mentioned to you at the earlier part of this video that the average lot size is about 9,600 square feet, which is pretty sizable. I would say our average kind of in the South Katy area is probably something closer to 7,500 square feet, right? But like not all of that green space is really yours to use. And that's because of something that is called the detached garage. Now, some of what makes Green Trails so beautiful to look at is that when you're driving down the street, people's cars are tucked behind the home in these long single car wide driveways up to their detached garage. So it looks very pretty. But when you think about it, a garage is about 400 square feet minimum when you're dealing in a 2-car garage, and it's at least 600 square feet for a 300 or for a 3-car. So when you think about that, if the garage is set behind your home, that garage is eating up your yard. So yes, the lot sizes are bigger, but you're not necessarily able to use it for like, a goal or batting practice or whatever you want to use it for. So what we see a lot of the times is that folks will install a pool. And so what you get is the back of the home, the pool that is equal to the width of the back of the home, and then the pool abuts the garage that's right here. And then you're just left with a tiny little landing strip called your utility easement of green grass behind it. So if that's not something that you like, I would say that is some negative feedback that we get for green trails is that yes, the yards are larger, but the use of space is not necessarily what they were after. If you're thinking about making a move to Katy or the West Houston area, I would love to be your realtor. Make sure to check the description below where you can find my contact information. And if you found value in this video here today, make sure to click the link below and subscribe because we put content like this out every single week. See you soon.
This is special.